everybody, welcome to BrickVault. My name is Jack. Today we've got a collection video for you. This is every single Lego Star Wars Battle Droid minifigure ever made. Alright, so here's the entire collection, and let me do a quick preface about what you're looking at here. There's 2 points I want to make. First, yes, there are other battle droids with the alternate versions of the straight arms to the just curved arms. When you look up close, yes, they've got the elbow joint that is a little bit crooked there, and then the full straight on one. Just about all versions of the battle droids that you're looking at right now in the collection have variations of the straight arms to the jointed ones. So for the sake of not being totally redundant, I'm not going to show you every single different version of all these guys that have the straight and curved arms. It'll just make the episode run a little bit faster, and if you're looking into this collection to find out the prices of these figs, I will say right now that the straight arms as opposed to the curved arm figures have no difference in price, or very, very little. Second point I want to make is that there are a ton of different kinds of battle droids, and it depends on really where you draw the line. If a destroyer droid counts as a battle droid, like these droidecas, or heck, if these vulture droids even count. I'm focusing on the minifigure versions of the battle droids, which is essentially all of the B1s and their different variants with a couple of sort of just shout outs. All right, those are the 2 points I wanted to make. You guys get that?
Roger, roger.
Good. Now, when I get into the collection, I'm also going to organize this via the different kinds of battle droids. We've got our standard infantry guys in tan. Then with the yellow highlights, those are the commanders. Red indicates security battle droids, while blue indicates the pilots. There's also a couple of rocket hunter droids as well as elites. And then we get into some super battle droids. It's going to be easier to show these guys off via their different categories. So let's jump right into the infantry dudes. This is the very first one, and he is one of the very first released minifigures for the Star Wars line, and he came out back in 1999. His first set was just simply called Naboo Fighter, set number 7141, and interestingly enough, he's actually considered the first Star Wars minifigure that was entered into the BrickLink database. Sorry, that's kind of a odd piece of information, but anyways, there are 14 other sets this guy came out in, so he's insanely common. He's $1 or less, really, on BrickLink. There's also another version of this guy's release, also in 1999. He came with a little backpack. You could find him in the Minifig Pack Set 3343 or the Naboo Swamp Set 7121, and the only difference is that he's got that little tan 1x2 on his back. You can also see that these guys got their black bullhorn pieces with those orange tips. That was the standard blaster rifle for the early years of Star Wars figs. But believe it or not, aside from the fact that their arms would change up, that's it for the infantry guys. Their design was standard and never changed, but I guess Lego adopted the idea of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now let's move on to the commanding officers. These are just one rank above the infantry, really, but they are definitely an equal source of comic relief within the Star Wars universe. The first commander actually just had the yellow on the back of his head, as well as a tan tile piece attached to his back in order to have just, I guess, a smaller pack. I believe he appeared in the set Jedi Defense 2 7204, and he also was in that minifig set 3343. New, he sells for $5, and they didn't change up the detailing for this droid until way later in 2008. He came out in the Hailfire droid and Spider droid set 7670, as well as another one, but his difference is he doesn't have the yellow on his head anymore, but instead they just changed up the entire torso piece to just being molded in yellow. On BrickLink, he goes for just over $2. And then 2012 gave us the most accurate version of the commander, where his torso is back to tan, but instead he has that yellow dot printed right in the center, and they went back to giving him a yellow tip to the back of his head. He came out in 3 sets. One was the Malevolence 9515, but generally he's a pretty easy to access fig, and his commonality makes him just $1. Before I get into the specialty variants, I believe the Geonosian battle droids pretty much are the same. They're just molded in a different color. This is, of course, to represent the battle droids that fought on Geonosis, and they were colored to match the terrain. Oddly enough, the very first Geonosian battle droid in 2003 came out in the Geonosian Fighter 4478, but look at his color. He's kind of like a soft pink or a dark pink or something. It doesn't really look very good at all, and Lego certainly thought so. He was only released in that set and never again in any others. But guess what? That makes him kind of rare, and he's about $10. He's one of the most expensive of the battle droids. We didn't get any later iterations of these guys until 2013, much later. And this is our standard Geonosian battle droid. He's just molded in, I believe, what is dark orange? That's the name of the color that they used. He first appeared in the set ATTE 75019, and also the Microfighter Homing Spider droid 75077. He's $1. They also released the guy same dude, but just a 1x2 piece on his back to show the pack, and that was a Corporate Alliance tank droid release from the set 75015. He's also $1, just like the other Geonosian. And in some of those same sets, we did get a Commander version as well. His first release was also the ATTE set. He's $2, and he's got that dot on his chest, as well as the yellow on the back of his head. Now, there's another battle droid that I almost forgot to mention, because he's actually a character. This is Roger, literally R-O-G-R, and he's kind of one of those comic relief characters on the Freemaker Adventures Lego Star Wars show. He came out in the set Star Scavenger 75147. You can see he's made up of a combination of different kinds of battle droids, and at the moment he's listed at around $350. Now, we are pretty much done with the standard battle droids, though if I don't say it now, somebody's gonna probably call me out on it. That Encounter on Jakku set, the 2016 Star Wars The Force Awakens set, did have the parts to make up a battle droid if you did look around Unkar Plutt's junkyard, and he is a combination of what would be a Geonosian battle droid and just a regular infantry droid. Okay, maybe you wouldn't have called me out on that, but anyways, he is there. Now let's check out our security guys. These are actually the first battle droids that make their debut at all in the Star Wars universe, right in the beginning of episode 1, but if you remember that scene, it doesn't turn out very well for those guys. The first one in Lego was a 2002 release, part of the Jedi Defense 2 set that I mentioned earlier. He is $5, and what is different about him is that he's also got a bit of tan printing that's onto that molded red torso piece. I don't think it looks the best, but Lego did decide to stick with that design for at least a few other iterations on other droids. But by the time we got to 2007, you can see they had abandoned this printing option and just kept the torso red. This is the security droid from the Trade Federation MTT set 7662. He also came out in another set. He's $1, very common, but in a bizarre turn of events, 2011 brought back that original print piece on the torso. It's slightly different. It honestly just looks a little bit worn away, but he came out in the Naboo Fighter set 7877, and he sells for $2. So that is it for the security guys. Nothing too crazy, and it follows a very similar pattern with the pilots. Pilots are in blue, and the very first pilot droid was also one of the very first droids to come out for Lego. He is all tan except with the torso printing that we saw before, but now it is in blue on a tan print, and he was only released in one set, the Battle Droid Carrier set 7126. He is $10 because of that. And then just like the security droids, 2007 brought a solid blue piece instead of any special printing. Also a Trade Federation MTT release, and he goes for $1.50. And then our last pilot droid falls just in line with the security droids. He has the tan printing now again on his chest, and first appeared in the Battle of Naboo set 7929, as well as another. But yeah, he goes for about $1 or $2 as well on BrickLink. So there it is. We've knocked out the infantry, the commanding droids for them, as well as the security and the pilots. So the last B1 variants of the battle droids are these rocket droids, or sometimes referred to as hunters. The first version came out in the Hyena Droid Bomber 8019. He's a 2009 release. He's $2, and what makes him different are A, that his legs and arms are gray now, and B, that he has binocular pieces on his back that are supposed to emulate his jetpacks or his rocket boosters. He is $2, and then a year later, 2010 gave us the rocket droid Commander. He appeared in just the Droid Tri-Fighter set 8086, and nothing too much different about him except he now has the dot on his chest and the yellow tip for the back of his head. He's also $2, and with that, we just knocked out the standard B1 battle droids. This is what most people think of when you refer to a battle droid in the Star Wars universe. And if they generally think of other droids, we also have the super battle droid. Who am I kidding? These guys totally make the list, and the very first one released in 2002 is extremely unique. He appeared in the Republic Gunship set 7163, and he's the only battle droid that ever came out in this pearl blue color. And honestly, it's really just not that common of a color anyways in Lego. The mold for the body is great. They don't change up the mold for the body at all throughout the history of it, except his arm does change at one point. Used, he is $12, and new, he is $17. This makes him the most expensive of the battle droids, and you can see there's quite a bit of sort of stretch marks within the mold of the plastic. That pearl color just did not look very clean. And when 2007 gave us the next super battle droid in the Droids Battle Pack 7654, you can also see the similar kind of almost sloppy looking stretch marks within this droid as well. Because he came out in a battle pack, he's just $1 to buy. And then 2009 gave us just the Super Battle Droid, but he also has that special arm blaster. He appeared in both the set's Armored Assault Tank 8018 as well as Battle for Geonosis 7869. And when you look at the previous release compared to this guy, there are less sort of stretch marks. I don't know what else to call them within the mold, but it does look a little bit cleaner, but still not particularly great. And LEGO finally worked out that molding problem in 2013. This Super Battle Droid came out in the Homing Spider Droid set 7516. He's also $1. He doesn't come with the special arm cannon like the last guy, but the mold looks so much better than the rest of them. If you look at all four of them together, you can see a very clear improvement with the molding process as the years went by, but that original pearl blue, I think that's the name of the color, is by far the more expensive droid. So those were the B2 Super Battle Droids, and we got after that, at least in Star Wars, the BX Commando Droids. LEGO did come out with a couple versions of these guys. The first one was in a battle pack from 2012, the Elite Clone and Commando Droid Battle Pack, and he also came out in another set, extremely common. He's less than $1. The mold for the body is the same as the rest of the Battle Droids, except of course for the mold for the head. I think it does look a lot better. The printing on the face certainly makes it, and he also has that little dot on the chest. The next of the Commando droids was the Captain Commando droid that came out in the ATRT 75002 set. This was in 2013, and he is just $1 as well. Very cheap, but technically these are the much more dangerous of the battle droids to run into, at least from the B series. And we did get a tactical droid. He was a 2011 release from the set Mace Windu's Jedi Starfighter 7868, and this is actually the most expensive droid that I would consider part of the actual collection, coming out to $30 brand new on BrickLink. There just aren't too many people that have this guy, and I believe this is the only time you can find the leg molds in blue, the arm molds in blue, and he's got a special head and torso singular mold, completely unique just to him. It looks great. The printing on the shoulders is nice, and he even has some printing on the head as well. Who would have known this guy was going to be such a collectible? But here you have it. These are what I would consider the core group of battle droids from the collection. And now for some honorable mentions. This is the IG-100 Magna Guard, commonly known as General Grievous's bodyguard droids. Totally different manufacturer and line within the Star Wars universe, so I wouldn't call them battle droids, but it has a very unique mold that makes up both the head and the shoulder wrapping, which then goes into a custom ragged cape piece. Makes the overall design of this minifigure very different from the rest of the both droids and other minifigs alike. It comes with a simple build for a vibro sword, vibroblade, and if you really want to know, yeah, his first set was the Magna Guard Starfighter 7673, and new he sells for $17. Also, the IG Assassin droids came out from the same manufacturers, and yes, IG-88 was part of them. And this guy here totally isn't a battle droid, but he does have the same head and arms as a Commando droid. This is the FA4 Pilot droid. There's other versions of this guy in LEGO. I just thought I'd point him out to say that he is indeed not part of the official collection. And other than that, yeah, here are just a few other droids for good measure. And General Grievous totally doesn't count, but he is kind of a lot more machine than he is anything else. But let's go back to the original collection. These are all of the battle droids together. There are 24 in total here, and if I had to choose any new battle droid to enter this collection for the future, I gotta say it's that Firefighter B1 droid variant that we've seen a bunch in the Clone Wars. Well, that or maybe even a super tactical droid. I'm not really sure. Alright, so that is it for this episode, everybody. Thanks a lot for watching. I really do like making these collection review videos for you guys, and if you enjoy our content, you can always like or subscribe, and if you've got any ideas about another collection you want to see in the future, let us know in the comment section below. I know in the very near future we are making a massive order, and we're really going to start expanding the different sort of licenses that LEGO has been doing throughout the years. Instead of just, you know, Star Wars, Marvel, and DC, we're going to have a lot more stuff, so look forward to that. And once again, thanks a lot for watching, and this was BrickVault, and we'll see you next time.